Well, hello, everybody. We are so excited to have you joining us here for our virtual summit that is honoring and celebrating Women's History Month. Yep, we are on the last day of the month, and what better way to take the month out than with featuring 4 dynamic speakers who are ready to come up to the mic. We welcome you. I am Sharvette Mitchell, the CEO of Mitchell Productions. We are a marketing and professional development firm and the host of this virtual summit. First, coming up to the stage, we have Dr. Nina Copeland. She's going to be talking about permission to pivot, letting go of who you were to embrace who you're becoming. Right after her, we have Edwinette Moses coming up, and her topic is navigating dual careers, balancing work, passion, and the future. Next, we have Pastor Kathleen Moore, who is going to be talking about strategic planning and administrative excellence for businesses and ministries. And then we wrap up the hour featuring Lynn Lewis, whose conversation is going to be certainly an amazing topic, disenfranchised grief. Is this even a thing? All right, so welcome again. We invite you to comment and share the broadcast. Let me introduce and bring up our very first speaker, Dr. Nina Copeland. Again, her topic, permission to pivot, letting go of who you were to embrace who you're becoming. Dr. Nina Copeland is a proven leader, a strategist, and connector with over 21 years of distinguished service as a military officer. She specializes in leadership development, personal growth, and resilience by empowering executives and teams to lead with clarity, confidence, and impact. As the founder of Copeland's Coaching and Consulting and event host for the I AM B.O.L.D Women's Empowerment Summit, she provides strategic coaching and dynamic training experiences. Put your virtual hands together as we welcome Dr. Nina Copeland up to the stage. Hello, Dr. Nina.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I am amazing. We're excited to have you. Feel free to take it away in this TEDx style virtual summit.
Awesome. First, I just want to start by saying thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. I'm extremely grateful, and I just want to jump right in. So I want to ask a question. Have you ever reached a point where everything seemed to align? You were on this amazing trajectory. You knew where you were going. Your plan was rock solid. You were executing with excellence. It felt like you were at the pinnacle of your life. As a leader, that feels powerful. You're making an impact. You're gaining influence. You believe your path that you're currently on will take you to the next level of success. But then you hit a wall, and suddenly everything shifts. The plan no longer works. The vision begins to fade. The impact dissolves. You begin to feel empty and hopeless. That feeling is called the awakening. It feels like heartbreak. You realize you have to make a change. You realize your old self can't survive, and it is demanding something radical from you. It is demanding transformation. And I call that the leader's pivot. In the pivot, our mind goes directly to what's happening to us, not what's happening for us. But let me be clear and tell you a little secret. The pivot is not the end of your leadership. It's the evolution of it. As a leadership coach, I see this often with high performers, executives, and professionals, all hitting the invisible wall, facing these identity shifts. And what I've learned is the greatest resistance isn't change, it's the release of what is familiar. The pivot, guess what? It is terrifying because it requires deep inner work, not outer work, inner work. The inner work, such as grieving what was, releasing negative feelings, surrendering, forgiving, shifting identities, renewing your mindset, and renewing your vision. And how do you let go of these habits and routines and even the people that once validated you, but can no longer elevate you? So let's be real. It takes courage to pivot when everything in you is craving the comfort of your past. Sometimes the pivot is triggered by pain, and that could be in the form of a divorce. It could be in the form of losing a job, a transition. And pivots are not always bad. Sometimes it could just be a gentle whisper. It's time to change and it's time to grow. And that's when the leadership shifts from being an external achievement to internal alignment. And let me tell you this, no matter how hard you try to keep the doors from closing, they will close. But when the doors close, they are not rejecting you, they are redirecting you. And let me give you a little illustration on how that will look. Imagine that you're in a boat and all the things that are in the boat define your leadership, such as your credentials, your followers, your expectation, your reputation, awards, evaluations, your roles, responsibilities, your friendship, family expectation, old narratives, all the things that you think define your leadership. And as you're sailing in the ocean, the boat began to sink. And you realize if you want to survive, you have to let go. And you have to throw some things overboard. And that means letting go of your job titles, the past versions of yourselves, and even the people that you thought would be there forever. You realize to stay afloat, you must release the weight of who you were. Because if you don't, you're going to drown. And this is when the real pivot begins to happen. You stop clinging, you stop resisting, and you give yourself permission. You give yourself permission to stop trying to reopen doors that have been definitely shut. Permission to chart a new course. And that's the permission to pivot. When I was in the military and I was transitioning out, it was extremely abrupt. It was a legal situation. It flipped everything. I had no certainty. I had no plan. I was in a culture that said, when you do 20 years, that is successful. Anything less than that, that is not successful. And guess what? I didn't get that. I didn't get a parade. I didn't get a celebration. What I got was silence and 1,000 questions. And for just a short moment, I lost my identity. I questioned my worth and I shrank. I was fighting the situation. I kept thinking, oh my God, this is so unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening to me. I did everything that I could to fix it, to manage the situation, to try to protect my name. And the more and more and more I was fighting, I was more and more and more depressed, battling anxiety. and I was just lost. And I was tired, not physically, but really spiritually. And I said one day, I was walking up my steps and I was like, you know what? I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I released the situation. I released the people. I released myself. And I said, I don't know how this is going to turn out for me, but I'm going to let it be. So a couple of things I stopped doing immediately. I stopped talking about the situation. I stopped trying to explain myself. I stopped seeking validation. I was quiet. And in those quiet moments, something happened. I received what I wanted from the military. I was able to medically retire. I found peace. I found clarity. I found purpose. And most of all, I rediscovered my own purpose and passions. And that is when the vision returned. That's when I began to show up again, even with fear, even with tears, even with uncertainty. I gave myself permission to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to build again, and not from just trying to prove myself, but from a place of power. And it was really that moment that helped me to reclaim my strength and helped me to really realize that I wasn't being punished, I was being positioned. And I could just remember like yesterday, I was sitting on the edge of my bed, surrounded by journal pages and sticky notes and scriptures and highlighters, and just really trying to make sense of my emotions and my future and even my worth. And that's when things began to shift in me. And I realized I was unearthing my purpose. And with that, I developed a method called B.O.L.D. B.O.L.D means believe in yourself and refuse to doubt, optimize your current situation and seek advancement, liberate yourself from self-limiting beliefs, and dare to be different and not the status quo. It became more than a framework. It became a lifeline, a mindset, a movement. And it didn't come from the books. It came from a place of brokenness. The methodology has helped me in many ways, and now is helping other leaders rebuild with courage, authenticity, and clarity. I have also had the honor of hosting 2 women empowerment summits, which you heard earlier, where I have created safe, transformative spaces for women to rediscover their power, release old narratives, and rise into bold, purpose-driven leadership. But what I realize is that people think they fear pivots because they think that it's failure. Pivots are not failure. It's not a breakdown. It's clearly a breakthrough. And there's a cost to becoming. Brianna White said, your new life will cost you your old one. Your comfort zone, your relationships, your sense of direction. But the people meant for you will meet you on the other side. You may be understood, but you will be seen. You may not be liked, but you will be loved. What you're losing was built for someone you no longer are. For me, the military was a stepping stone, not my final destination. It prepared me. It did not define me. So let me ask you this. What are you still carrying that's sinking your boat? What relationship, what expectation or title that no longer fits who you are becoming? Today, I challenge you to stop fighting your pivots. Embrace the process. Because beyond surrender is strategy. Beyond release is reinvention. Beyond pain is power. You don't need to prove. You don't need to perform. You don't need to pretend. You just need to say, I give myself permission to pivot. If you're ready to align your leadership with your purpose, if you're tired of shrinking and ready to rise, let's rebuild, let's rise, let's walk into a bold, authentic, unapologetic leadership. And know this, you are not behind, you're not broken, you are becoming. It's your time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nina. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you
Yes.
for being here. Certainly check the chat for some love that's coming on in there. Amazing. Amazing. Welcome again to everyone that's joining us here for our Women's History Month virtual summit. Listen, we are moving right on along with our next speaker that's coming up to the mic, Edwinette Moses, and her topic is navigating dual careers, balancing work, passion, and the future. Edwinette Moses is a dedicated professional with a multifaceted career in healthcare administration, real estate, entrepreneurship, and authorship. As an administrative officer with the Department of Veteran Affairs, she serves the National Radiation Oncology Program, where she manages complex contracts, oversees program compliance, supports accreditation processes, and ensures the efficient operation of radiation oncology services across Veterans Health Administration. In real estate, Edwinette is a licensed realtor who helps clients achieve their goals, whether they're buying their first home, finding their forever property, or investing in new opportunities. Put your hands together and welcome Edwinette Moses up to the stage. Hello, Edwinette. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, and thank you, Sharvette.
All right, take it.
Good evening, and happy Women's History Month. First, I want to thank Sharvette and Mitchell Productions for the opportunity to share tonight. I have known Sharvette for many years and appreciate her trusting and giving me this opportunity in the spotlight. I will be sharing my personal experience on an important topic, navigating dual careers, balancing work, passion, and the future. Sometimes, you have questions and you want to know, what is a dual career? When I first heard dual career, I was working with my real estate partners and they asked me, was I full-time or part-time? And I said, I am part-time. And they said, oh, I said, because I work full-time for the Department of Veterans Health Administration. They said, oh, so you're a dual career. And I said, oh, is that what I am? So as time went on, I realized there is a lot of people who are managing dual careers, or for one reason or another. For me, I have two very intensive careers. I work full-time, as Sharvette mentioned, for the Department of Veterans Health Administration, and I've been working for that department for more than 20 years. I am the administrative officer for National Radiation Oncology, and we manage all of the radiation therapy clinics throughout the U.S. So my oversight includes accreditation, credentialing, budget formulation, managing multiple service and technical contracts, and contractor personnel, just to name a few. The position carries strategic responsibilities to ensure radiotherapy treatment is delivered safely in the VA and for those veterans receiving care in the community. There are a lot of demands with this job, and the responsibilities, as you might know, is growing daily. Part-time, I am a licensed realtor. This job and role I selected after much thought and reflection some years back. Now you might say, why are you doing two extremely complex careers? Believe it or not, for me, being a realtor, it's therapeutic. It's to me, it's easy. A lot of people say it's a lot of paperwork, or there are a lot of, ebbs and flows throughout uh, the business and the industry. However, for me, I like those challenges, and there's no two situations are the same. So I'm constantly building my experience and exposure so that I can be of service to my clients. I have to keep, as a realtor, I must maintain my licensure and stay relevant with market trends, network with various industries to include mortgage lenders and home inspectors, just to name a few. And it requires continuous learning. A few years ago, I was very, very passionate about continuing my college career. And I went back to school and got my degree. I went back at 50 and got my bachelor's degree at 52. And after that, I felt like, oh, I can just do anything. I enjoyed learning. And so real estate is one of those fields that requires you to continue to learn, what we typically call continuing education credits in some fields, or continuing learning points and things like that. It requires you to continue to learn. And those things are challenging to me, which is a good challenge. It's therapeutic, I should say. My real estate career, when I decided to start this, it was a part of my long-term plan for retirement. But let me tell you, working two careers requires serious commitment and intentional planning. As women, we're often multitasking and managing multiple responsibilities constantly. Sometimes we don't even recognize the value of all that we juggle. We strategize daycare, school schedules, household finances, work meetings, church commitments, and more. We often prioritize everyone else's needs before our own. But a few years ago, I started reflecting on my future and what I wanted it to look like and how I could prepare for it. I had to shift my mindset. If anybody knows me, they're going to always know I have a famous phrase that I continue to share with people, how things were and how they are now. I had to shift my mindset. I realized that, we were post Y2K, the world wasn't coming to an end. And I had to consider, what was I going to do while I was still alive and here on earth? So in an anthology I wrote with Sharvette a few years ago, Purpose, I co-authored, my chapter title was Use Your Gifts Right Where You Are. It explored how I discovered my purpose. I referenced Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. Sometimes our journey is long, and sometimes it's pretty quick. However, I had to pivot. And one of the ways I stepped into a new season was by becoming a realtor. And it has been an incredibly rewarding experience. How I got into real estate, it took some time to determine what I wanted to do after retirement. I knew that I would eventually retire from my good government job. However, I feel that I'm in reasonable health and I needed to have something that would allow me to just continue being active and continue learning and just be relevant. So I thought about some things I had done in my life, and I actually said, you know what, let me try becoming a realtor. I once read in the Harvard Business Review about career choices. A small number of people know early where they belong. People like mathematicians, musicians, and cooks. They know very early what they want to be and what they want to do. That's why you see those child prodigies. But most people don't know where they belong until later in life. That was me. After some soul searching and conversations, I had an epiphany. And I said, oh, you know what? I think I'll try this. The good thing about a dual career or working a career while you have a full-time job is that you can explore opportunities. My first home, for example, was a foreclosed property. My second home was a bank-owned property. Later, my husband and I, we began flipping houses. And this is my journey into real estate. But we began flipping properties, buying, renovating, and selling them. That was my early exposure to real estate that planted the seed for me. Now, as a realtor, I help buyers and sellers with residential and commercial sales. Actually, I have been successful in procuring some commercial properties for clients, which is a very rewarding experience for me. In this career, I have built a network of services and providers. I've met a lot of people, including lenders, home inspectors, closing attorneys, and other resources that will help my clients when they purchase or sell homes. Providing a service to the client takes dedication and hard work. In all cases, I treat each client as if they are the only client I have. As a licensed realtor, I must stay informed and ready to provide world-class customer service and expertise to my clients. The career satisfies a passion I have for challenging opportunities, such as continuous learning, as I mentioned earlier, maintaining licensure, understanding the market, negotiating contracts, and the many challenges that the industry brings with it. As we talk about dual careers, consider some things that here are some considerations for people who may be interested in working and transitioning. Make sure it fits your family plan. Does it align with your personal and family life? Before committing to those careers, ask yourself, what amount of time will it take? Will I have the energy to balance both? Okay, my situation, we're empty nesters. So it gives me the flexibility to fit real estate into my lifestyle. Being a realtor kind of fits into my lifestyle. On my downtime, evenings and weekends, I have the flexibility to support and assist clients. If you have young children, I would recommend that you really consider a dual career that will take you out of the family home. Juggling two careers can be extremely difficult, especially if you have young children and significant family responsibilities. Burnout and strained relationships can also happen if you don't set boundaries. You've got to set boundaries when you're juggling multiple careers. Time management. Time management is critical. And hopefully this information will be beneficial to women, as not only does it apply to dual careers, but it applies to life in general. Time management is a critical factor. For example, with dual careers, you often means long hours, weekends, and evenings that you're working. You must be disciplined with your schedule. In my primary job as an administrative officer, I provide support to staff in all time zones. So in that position, I work long hours as well. I cannot allow my secondary career to interfere with my full-time job's performance either. So it requires discipline. As a realtor, time management is critical in that we're scheduling showings and it is time sensitive. If I schedule a showing, for example, for 5:30 to 6, that's the time that is allotted. I must be available. And I also must ensure that my clients show up on time. So it takes a lot of teaching, a lot of nudging, and a lot of encouraging on both sides, for myself and for my clients. We can't have any overlapping appointments, personally or professionally. I can't be at two places at one time. So we have to be strategic as we are juggling dual careers. Have to be strategic and fully present, either for the family or for my clients. So evenings and weekends as a realtor work best for me. I serve clients across a broad area, from Central Virginia to Northern Virginia, Woodbridge area, Yorktown, the Hampton Roads area, and beyond. I have navigated the interstate a lot in this career. Family time is non-negotiable. I have to balance my work and passions with my family. So while I'm having these two careers, I must also have to consider my family time. There are only 24 hours in a day, so carving out time for work and family is truly a juggling act. Personal time is necessary to avoid burnout. Spiritual retreats have been something I've participated in for the past few years, and this allows my mind, body, and soul to rejuvenate. In the past year, I have intentionally created some time to refresh, reset, and relax. I thank you for your time tonight, and I appreciate again this opportunity to share my journey with you. And I would love to connect with you and answer any questions. Just reach out to me on Facebook at Edwinette Moses Realtor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Edwinette, for sharing and giving us those nuggets about balancing all this out. Thank you so much. Oh boy, we are rocking and rolling, moving right along to our next speaker that's coming up here. Welcome to all those that are coming up and listening and watching for our virtual summit here, celebrating Women's History Month, closing out the month. Our next speaker is in the virtual green room, ready to come up now, Pastor Kathleen Moore. Listen, her topic is strategic planning and administrative excellence for business and ministry, for businesses and ministry. Pastor Kathleen Kim Moore is a trailblazer in administration and leadership with over 40 years of administrative expertise across government, healthcare, banking, and technology. Pastor Kathleen is a distinguished leader known for her strategic acumen. Beginning her career in 1982 with the federal government, she later honed her expertise at Booz Allen Hamilton. She has served as executive pastor and director of church administration at Miracle International Praise Ministries. As the founder of Living the Dream Consultants, LLC, she provides tailored solutions for businesses and churches. A Strayer University graduate, she holds a certification from Cornell University and serves as the Dean of Word World Harvest School of Theology. Put your hands together as we bring Pastor Kathleen up to the mic. Hello, Pastor Kathleen. We're glad to have you.
Hello, Sharvette, and good evening to each and every one of you. I am super excited about this opportunity to share with you all. I am thankful to be with you all on tonight. Good evening to each and every one of you. Again, I'm excited to be here with you all. And I wanted to share with you today how strategic planning and effective administration can elevate both businesses and ministries. No matter where you are in the journey. Doesn't matter whether you've been in it for 5 years, 10 years, 40 years, or plus. But these principles that I'm going to share with you tonight will help you create, be innovative, and have sustainable growth and lead with confidence, with assurity. Why does this matter? It matters in the day and time that we're in. And many organizations and ministries fail not because they lack passion, not at all, or they lack a drive or tenacity, but because they lack structure and strategy. The SS clause, structure and strategy. I've worked with so many clients, even in the federal government, private industry, nonprofit organizations who had powerful visions, but they struggled with executing the plan, strategizing and making it fulfill the vision. Just to get started. Today, I want to share with you some proven strategies and to help you set your organization for success. One key point here on this evening is your business setup, whether it's a mom and pop, whether you're a single entrepreneur, whether it's a 501c3 application preparation, grant submission, or starting and launching your nonprofit organization or foundation. Starting a business or ministry is exciting. The drive there, you have the excitement. I'm starting my business, and I applaud you. But it requires proper legal and administrative setup to avoid costly mistakes. The nuts and bolts of establishing a business or a nonprofit is, first, choosing your type of legal structure you desire, whether it's an LLC, whether it's a corporation. LLC is a limited liability corporation, or a corporation that is incorporated with the INC on the end, or a nonprofit organization, or as an acronym is NPO, that desires to apply for their 501c3 designation with the Internal Revenue Service. So therefore, you have to register your business. Well, what does that entail? The state that you're going to organize your business, you have to register in that state. You have to be compliant with the IRS. So therefore, you have to have the name. You do your name search. Make sure that it's available. Then you apply for your EIN number. You also have to have a registered address, not your residential address, but a business address. Then develop your vision and your mission statement. That's important. It should not be lengthy. It should be at least 2 to 3 sentences. Your mission statement should be easy to give right off the cuff, not a lot of wordy words with it. Then you need to establish your board. Board members that have influence in the community, that are leaders within the community. Those are business owners that are operating in an area that you desire to go into, or you have similar role that you're organizing your business for. And then also I encourage you to implement objectives and goals, because those are the standards of flowing and how you want to operate your business or ministry. Then the most important part is your foundation. What are you standing on? You have to create your bylaws and your governing documents. That sets the stage. That allows you to let your board members know, or your staff know, this is the plan. This is the strategic plan that we're going to do. So it's very essential for nonprofits and for your business to have your articles of incorporation, have a conflict of interest statement, have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. I always say to my clients, have an NDA in place for your board members, even for your staff. And it's important that the board members are aware that they have a fiduciary responsibility as they sit on your board. It's just not to sit on the board, but they have to have an active role on your board in order to implement and push the vision and mission out of what you have birthed out. It's important. Then your financial systems have to be in place. Once achieved, then you can go directly to the bank or the credit union and open up your business account. And I also encourage you to open up a savings account as well, because it's important as you get monies in, you want to set aside monies to build up so you have a reserve fund. Funding and grants, yes, they're important, especially for nonprofit organizations or small startups. There are funds out there for you. So many times nonprofits miss out on funding because they fail to properly register and apply for available grants. One example I wanted to share with you, I worked with a pastor many, many years ago. As you know, I have over 40 years of experience, but many years ago, they had been operating their ministry for years, but never officially registered as a 501c3. Once we get them set up as a nonprofit status, they became eligible for over 50 grand in grant funding. That was many years ago. And within a year, those funds were expanded and allowed them to expand their outreach programs and built a community food pantry. It's important to have that foundation, because upon the foundation, you can build and be able to expand on your vision and on your mission. The other effective area is maximizing efficiency with calendar management, with research and executive support. That spans across all levels, because when we talk about maximizing our time is our money is our time. There's a group out there that sings that in hip hop. And also calendar management is very key. Many leaders experience burnout, as Edwinette had forestated, because they lack systems. Systems cannot take you where you need to go if there is a loophole in the system. So therefore, having systems and having the strategic planning in place allows you to manage your time and your tasks. There's nothing like a CEO that I've worked with for many years to go to a meeting unprepared. It's up to that administrative or executive assistant or admin professional to make sure they have everything they need when they go into that meeting, that they are prepared. So I would say maximizing the efficiency with calendar management. I also implement in my administrative staff trainings, and also to those that I coach, that they set up their calendar using color codes. Color codes are very easy to identify where you are going. So your assistant will know, well, this is important. Red is important. That's a must attend. Green, I'm on vacation. Yellow, it's kind of iffy whether I'm going to go to that appointment or not. Purple or lavender color can be personal, because you need that soft downtime to go and refresh yourself. So those are some key points. Also, digital tools. And as you know, we're in the AI ChatGPT system now, but I would recommend your Google Workspace, because it has an overall arching system where you can go and get all things that you need accomplished. Microsoft Office is great as well. Some of the other calendar management tools is Asana or Trello to stay organized. Even when we're talking about building our teams, having Trello and having it divided into different segments on who's handling what, so that the tasks and assignments are very important, and that the team lead will be able to give out the assignments and track them upon a timeline. Timelines are very important, whether you're in business for yourself, you're at your ministry, or just doing a timeline just for an assignment that you may have that you need to get completed. Delegation is another thing. We don't like the word delegate, but delegate keeps you healthy. Delegate will also keep you wealthy as you delegate out. We have to leverage our administrative support so that our leaders can focus on growth. One other example I wanted to share with you, one business owner that I worked with previously spent hours each week answering her own emails, scheduling her own meetings. You know, she wanted to have that micromanage attitude, but did not trust her administrator. So when we implemented an automated booking system and trained her assistant to handle those emails, flag those emails, what's important, what's not important, what's a spam mail, get rid of those things, they're not important. That saved the CEO over 15 hours per week, which they were able to redirect their time to growing their business. The role of the support staff and training in an organizational is very important. Why investing in staff development is a game changer? Because it's a betterment for your company. A strong team ensures the sustainability of any business or ministry. When you have a weak team, the foundation is weak. When you have a strong team, you can build, you can continue to go up and out. And it's important that we establish the teams that are working with us. Those people, they have pliable mindsets. They're ready. They have that drive. They have that tenacity. And it's important that we have that. It frees up the boss's time. It frees them up to go do other things. It doesn't mean that we have to be the person all the time managing it, but as you delegate tasks and you stay on top of those assignments, then there is a constant flow, and then there's a constant momentum where everybody will come out together and achieve the main goal and be successful. Some of the key areas of training in administrative procedures is standardizing your workflow. SOPs, standard operating procedures, are important, because if something happens to another person, well, who's there? Who's the other coach that can fill in the gap and continue to keep the wheels turning in your company? Customer service and communication is very important, ensuring that professional interaction is always there. You want to continue to have someone who's your front office person. Are they personable? Are they nice? Are they pleasant? Do they get to work before time? Because on time is late, but you have to arrive at least 30 or an hour before to prepare. Even if you stay late the night before and you already took a glance of your calendar, you know what things you need to do the next day. So just take that extra 20 to 30 minutes to prepare. So you're not, in case you're in traffic the next morning, you don't have to rush in to make sure things are operating and you're behind the schedule. One thing I wanted to share as far as an example and also share with you is if you desire to reach out to me, amen, you can contact me on my website at www.kathleenkimmore.com. I'm also on Facebook under my business name, Living the Dream Consultants, and IG and TikTok at I AM Kim Moore. Thank you so much. We enjoyed this opportunity. Thank you, Sharvette Mitchell, for this time.
Thank you, Pastor Kathleen. Listen, chock full of information. So glad we're recording this because our viewers and listeners can come back to it. Thank you so much for gracing our stage. I am telling you, we're coming in with our anchor here. We are coming in with our anchor. Lynn Lewis is coming up. And let me just introduce Lynn. Certainly, Lynn is no stranger to this platform, as really most of our other speakers. So Lynn Lewis, her topic, disenfranchised grief. Is that even a thing? Lynn Lewis is a certified grief educator. She is the visionary and chief empathy officer for Destined to Thrive Grief Coaching. She's a speaker and an author. After her son's death in August 2019, Lynn Lewis she made the choice to not be consumed by grief of her tragic loss. Lynn readily shares her grief story, I choose to live in the aftermath. She talks about how she strives daily to keep moving forward, why she does it, and the positive impact that self-love has on how she manages grief. Lynn supports adults who are ready to move forward with living meaningful and impactful lives despite having experienced the loss of a loved one. Lynn is the co-author of Prepare for Purpose, Your Invitation to the Next Level, and the author of My Suicide Grief Journey, Journal, and Memory book. And I invite you to put your hands together as we bring Lynn Lewis to the stage. Hello, Lynn. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, Sharvette. Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. So yes, disenfranchised grief. Is that even a thing? Yes, it is. But before I delve into the matter of disenfranchised grief, I want to first talk a little bit about loss and grief in general. So, what is loss? Loss is when you are deprived of or no longer have access to something or someone that you valued, that you loved, that you thought highly of. One of the main things I want you to keep in mind is that loss is not exclusive to death. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, what is grief? Grief is that natural, normal, and necessary emotional response, rather, to loss. Grief, it has no timeline, it has no deadline, it has no expiration date. It just lasts as long as it lasts. It ebbs and flows like the waves of an ocean, and it's not linear. It doesn't just go from A to Z in a straight line. Grief is also multifaceted. And one of the aspects or facets of um, grief is disenfranchised grief. And disenfranchised, that's a mouthful to say. Disenfranchised grief is grief that society does not look favorably upon. It's a relatively new type of grief. It was introduced in 1989 by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Kenneth Doka. And Dr. Doka described disenfranchised grief as grief that is not openly acknowledged, it's not socially validated, nor is it publicly mourned. Disenfranchised grief definitely does exist, but it's often dismissed or diminished. But if you think about how society operates, society has these socially unofficial or unwritten rules that dictates how we should live, how the world operates. And unfortunately, grief is one of those things that society dictates how we should grieve, how we should not grieve, if we should grieve, and for whom we should grieve. So this evening, I am going to share with you 5 types of losses that could cause someone to experience disenfranchised grief. And as I share these 5 types of losses with you, I ask that you would think about how they could, in fact, be pushed away, pushed into the shadows, how they could be unseen or unheard or unspoken about. So, the first one that I'll share with you is non death loss. As I stated earlier, loss does not only refer to death. So, non death loss would be considered um, loss by divorce, the infertility, uh, physical or cognitive disability, even separation from family and friends due to relocating for a job or relocating to go off to school. So the grief that comes from those situations they are non-death related losses, but nevertheless they are losses. And often the impact of non-death losses are underestimated because again, it's not a death. The second one is ambiguous grief. Ambiguous grief is twofold. It is one, the experience of grief when a loved one is physically present but psychologically absent, such as people with dementia or Alzheimer's. Uh, some persons who may have had drug addictions because sometimes their personalities are altered as a result of drug use, or someone who has experienced a brain injury. So those persons are still physically present but psychologically absent. And the flip side of ambiguous grief is to be physically present, to be physically absent, but psychologically present. And so examples of those would be persons that are perhaps on military deployments or long-term job assignments or incarcerations. Again, those persons are physically absent, but psychologically they are still present. And grief related to those types of losses often go unrecognized. The third one I'll share with you is the loss of a pet. Many people consider their pets as much a part of their families as the people in their family. And the passing of a pet can create some deep, deep sorrow and sadness to pet owners. I recall shortly after my son passed away, someone came to visit me. And during that time, as you can probably imagine, my emotions were still very, very fragile and raw. And during our time together, my guests began to talk about the loss of their dog and kind of compared it to the loss of my son. And I was in awe because it was the first time that I realized that pet owners grieve the loss of their animals to a deep degree. And so that was eye opening for me. So the fourth type of relationship the fourth type of loss is called marginalized relationships. And those relationships are not deemed legitimate by society. So some examples of those would be the relationships that some ex-spouses have, same gender relationships, and co-worker relationships. So when loss occurs within those relationships, they may not be acknowledged or they may be dismissed altogether because what? Society deems them as not being legitimate. Now, this fifth type of loss is really my why for being in the grief work arena. It is why I became a certified grief educator and coach, and that is the loss of a loved one to suicide. And as one who have personally experienced suicide loss, I am well aware of how it is stigmatized and sometimes silenced. I know of families that have been ostracized and blamed for the death of their loved one. They've been judged or even avoided as if they were contagious. I do recall being in the presence of one of my son's grandparents when another elder asked how many grandchildren they had. And the grandparent responded with the number of grandchildren they have, and but followed by saying, one of them died, but we don't talk about that. And I thought to myself, yeah, maybe you don't talk about it, but I do. So by now you may be wondering why it matters whether someone's grief is recognized or not. Well, when people feel like they have to grieve in silence, they sometimes will isolate themselves. They may experience suppressed grief, which is another type of grief. They may experience unresolved sorrow, even depression or anxiety. And most definitely, feelings of shame and guilt will be heightened. But when you know better, you should be willing to do better. And as a grief educator, I am on a mission to educate myself and others, hoping that we will be able to talk about loss and grief as easily as we talk about the weather or the latest movie or whatever the shiny thing is that has caught our attention. So if you or someone you know, someone you support is interested in learning more about how to navigate a grief journey, I invite you to contact me. So as I said, if when you know better, you should be willing to do better. And so I'll leave you with just a few ways that you can do better. I mentioned educating self and others. So, number one is to educate yourself and others. The more you understand disenfranchised grief, the more you can offer empathy and create safe spaces for people to grieve. Secondly, acknowledge that all forms of grief are valid. So when someone shares their loss, resist the urge to compare it to some other loss or to minimize it like it's no big deal. All grief is valid. Thirdly, use inclusive language. Use language that honors the individual's unique experience of loss. And fourth, offer presence. Sometimes the greatest gift that you can give someone who is in a season of grief is to just be present. You may not know what to say, you may not know what to do. Just be present. They don't need fixing. And if they don't ask for advice, don't give it. Just be present. I recall during that first week of my son's death, one of my most memorable gifts was one of my friends just came and sat by me on the sofa for an hour or so, just sat there. And it's been almost 6 years now, but I still vividly remember her doing that for me. So yes, disenfranchised grief is a thing. It is real, it is valid, it should not be diminished nor dismissed. For more information, I invite you to visit my website, Destined to Thrive, Destined to Thrive, griefcoaching.com. Follow me on Facebook at Destined to Thrive or under my name, and then on Instagram at Grief Coach Lynn. Lastly, I invite you to join me on Tuesday, April 22nd at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom for Sting the Stigma of Suicide, where I'll be leading a discussion on 5 ways to effectively navigate the stigma of suicide loss. It's a free event. I just ask that you please register on Eventbrite to reserve your seat. Again, I thank you, Sharvette, for having me today, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Certainly, topic is heavy, and we recognize that. And I applaud you for your courage to in this mission that you are on, because you certainly could have went under a rock and just did whatever. But I thank you for your mission, and thank you so much. We see all of the comments and everyone that has been here all along the way, and so my speakers don't know that I'm doing this. So I actually, we're in the after party now, because listen, I could have given each of y'all like 30 minutes apiece. I'm going to bring our speakers back up because I do want to do a round robin and just make sure that everyone has all of y'all's information. So I'm going to ask in the green room if all of the speakers would get ready to be brought up to the stage. All of the speakers that are in the green room, get ready to be brought up to the stage, so that we can, all of the speakers in the green room. Listen, let me bring Pastor Kathleen Moore back. Dr. Nina is back up, and then we'll have Edwinette Moses back up shortly. But Lynn, one more time, your website and how they can connect with you online.
Okay, the website is Destined to Thrive, griefcoaching.com. Facebook, same, Destined to Thrive. Instagram, Grief Coach Lynn.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Pastor Kathleen, your contact information, how people can connect with you and all of that good stuff.
Sure, of course. Serving the clients virtually around the world. You may reach me directly at my website, which is my full name, www.kathleenkimmore.com. I'm also on Facebook under my full name on the screen, Kathleen Kim Moore. I'm on IG and TikTok. I am K Kim Moore. I am also on LinkedIn under Kathleen Moore. And I have my business Facebook page, Living the Dream Consultants, LLC. Thank you.
All right, fabulous. Edwinette Moses, those that are looking for a house, looking for whatever you'd like to share of how they can connect with you and just reach out to you.
Yes, I am available on Facebook at Edwinette Moses Realtor, and also by email at emoses@gohtr.com. That's HTR like hometownrealty.com. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Nina, who kicked us off, certainly let us know where they can connect and work with you and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you again for the opportunity. So on Facebook, my business page is Copeland's Coaching and Consulting, and also Dr. Nina. And on Instagram, you can find me at I Am Nina Copeland. And my email address is hello@drninacopeland.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. And wherever you are watching, if you're like, oh, I missed one of the speakers, or oh, I need to hear that again, wherever you're watching, it's being recorded. And so you'll be able to go back there. One of the easiest and best places, though, is youtube.com/Sharvette, youtube.com/Sharvette. And then certainly all of the speakers today, all of the topics, vast, different directions, but it's Women's History Month. And, you know, we are women of, and we handle different things, and we go through different things, and we experience different things, and we do great things. And so I'm excited that all of you are here and came from your own direction. Listen, there's so much love in the chat. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Evangelist Dr. Robin. She said, I've been so blessed by the powerful speakers tonight. Dr. Nina, thanks for the invite. Thank you. Listen, Ms. Weaver, you have been here from the very beginning. Thank you so much for being here and commenting actively. Thank you so much, Diane Jones. Awesome information. Shout out to my mom, to my sister, to all of those that are here. We thank you for commenting. And even if you're coming back later and making a comment, we are glad that you were here and that you stop by. And you might be saying, hey, I'm here, but I don't even know who you are. I'm Sharvette Mitchell, and I am the CEO of Mitchell Productions, and we are a marketing professional development firm. And we're hosting the Platform Builders Summit. You'll be able to meet all of these ladies in person if you come, and you've seen it. If you've been hanging out here, it's kind of been scrolling across the bottom. This virtual summit is sponsored and being brought to you by our in-person summit. This is our 9th event that's going to be in Richmond, Virginia, November 7th and 8th. So if you're a business owner, ministry leader, entrepreneur, nonprofit, and you're looking to elevate your marketing, your branding, and business development, you want to be with us in Richmond, Virginia, just jump over to platformbuildersummit.com and you can find out all the information. All right. Any last words, any last comments, any last nuggets, anything? Listen, we still got an audience here for the after party. Any last comments here on this last day, 2025 Women's History Month?
I would say just embrace the change, embrace what is for you in 2025, and go do it.
All right.
And I would say if you can come to the summit, please come. You will not be disappointed.
Wonderful.
I would like to say this is our time. This is our season to go after everything that God has already purposed in our lives. Don't dumb it down. Go after it. What is it? Everything that you desired to be. Amen.
Well said. Edwinette, final word. And check mute.
Thank you. I would like to say to everyone, plan boldly. And I would also like to say, walk in your purpose. It is your time.
Yeah, so well said. Thank you, ladies. We'll send you back to the virtual green room. Amazing, amazing. And we're excited that you all have been here with us again. We thank you so much for being a part of our digital footprint wherever you are. If you're brand new to me, go ahead and subscribe or follow wherever you're watching or bringing or taking this all in. We thank you so much again. Shout out to my sister and my mom who are always so supportive. They are certainly women in my life that are very important to me. All right, it is a wrap. We're going to see you all later on the web. Thank you so much for being here.